जयधारी माँ। हर जीवन अनेक प्रकार के रंगों से भरा हुआ है। बातचीत वही रंग बांटेगी आप सबके साथ। हम सब एक हैं, बस सोच अलग अलग है। बटोर लीजिए उन रंगों को, जो भी आप चाहें इस बातचीत से, और ढाल लीजिए अपनी सोच में। यही मकसद है इस बातचीत का। आइए मिलते हैं अपने प्यारे से मेहमान से। अतिथि देवो भव।
जयधारी माँ। जयधारी माँ मम्मी।
जयधारी माँ।
जयधारी माँ। नमस्ते।
जयधारी।
आप सभी को नमस्ते। बच्चों को ढेर सारा प्यार। आई वेलकम यू ऑल। जीवन में दो प्रकार की सोच होती है। एक जो पार्ट ऑफ द अनफॉर्चुनेटली जो पार्ट ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम होती है, और दूसरी सोच जो पार्ट ऑफ द सॉल्यूशन होती है। जिनका जीवन is oriented towards positivity, light and solutions, the universe conspires to make it happen for them. आइए ऐसी ही शख्सियत से मिलते हैं आज। किरण मजूमदार शॉ। Let's see a video on Kiran auntie first. Jayadhari Ma. An entrepreneur's life is always a continuous journey. Let's take you through a fascinating journey.
To young entrepreneurs is failure is temporary, but giving up is final. So don't fear failure. Endure and make sure that you get to the finishing line.
Hi Kiran ji. Hi Saina. Lovely to be on your show.
Wonderful.
Jayadhari auntie, so happy to see you. And as I said yesterday, we have a special bond.
Thank you. And your special bond is your mom.
Yes. Mommy, you please take it forward. You say
Kiran,
some
uh,
words.
Kiran, well, fortunately today I'm going to call myself Kiran. It's very rare that you start calling yourself because that's you. Kiran, what's the secret of Kiran? The Kiran. Mommy gave you this name Kiran, or daddy gave you this name Kiran. What is the secret behind this energy behind this Kiran?
Well, I think, it's this kind of bond that we both share in terms of wanting to make a difference, wanting to be strong and, very, very fixed on what you believe in, because I have always driven and led my life with a sense of purpose. I think both of us, Kiran, are, very passionate about doing that. And in my case, of course, right from the time I was a young girl, I was very keen to pursue a career. And my late father, of course, supported me every step of that way. And he encouraged me and said, well, I think it's very important that you use your education wisely. And yes, I agree with you that you must put your education to good, constructive, and good societal use, because otherwise he says by giving you this education, and if you don't use it, it would be education wasted, which is not at all something can afford in a country like India or in the world for that matter. So he never differentiated between me and my two brothers. And right from the time I finished school, I was very keen to pursue a career. I first tried to get into medical school. I couldn't get into medical school. So then I did zoology honors. And after I finished zoology honors, it was my late father when I went to him saying, listen, I've got many admissions in doing PhD programs, but I think I want to do applied science, because if I want to pursue a career, I don't want an academic career. I want a real career in the real world. And therefore, when I asked him, what do you think I should do? What kind of career should I pursue? He very selfishly told me, he said, I'm a brewmaster. I want my daughter to follow my footsteps, because none of my sons have studied biology like you have. And therefore, why don't you pursue, brewing, a career in brewing? And I said, that's crazy. Don't you realize I'm your daughter? This is not a job for a woman. And he said, why? He said, that's in your mind. That was the first time he made me realize that there should not be a gender barrier or a gender difference when it comes to opportunities. And he then said to me, he said, no, he said, this is biotechnology. Don't look at it as brewing and beer and alcohol. Look at it as a science. Look at it as a biotechnology. It's a fermentation science. You can use fermentation science for anything. And he was so right, when he persuaded me to go to Australia. And I actually was the only woman in that program, as you can imagine. And I, of course, topped my class. And I actually came back very confident. I was so proud of myself that I had actually, done very well in my program. I had gone overseas, the only girl in my class, and yet I had done so well. So I thought, I came with this renewed sense of confidence. I thought, oh, all these breweries in India will absolutely kind of want to give me a job. But I was in for a rude shock, because every brewery I went to, they were willing to allow me to troubleshoot and solve a problem, but they were not willing to give me a job. And they all said to me, they said, you're very smart, you're very qualified. I must say that you've solved our problems very well, but it's very tough for us to give you a job because it's a huge risk for us. Remember, you'll be the only woman in our entire organization. And the brewing industry calls for very unfeminine time requirements, because you might have to come if there's a breakdown in the middle of the night. You'll have to come. Most of the brewing process starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's not very good for us to hire a woman like you to do all this. So I said, well, I can. Why are you not giving me an opportunity? And they said, no, it's too high a risk. And then we have labor unions. I don't think they will like to deal with a woman. So really sorry about it. We can't give you a job. And I was very, very disappointed, as you can imagine, because I thought, here I am, the most qualified brewer in the country, and I'm not getting a job. I then applied for a job overseas, and I did get a job in the UK. Okay. But before I went for that job, I had an accidental encounter with an Irish biotech entrepreneur who had tracked me down because of my time in Australia. He came to me and said, "Look, I'm trying to start this biotech enzymes company in India, and I heard about you, and you're the right kind of entrepreneur that I would like to partner with to start this company." And my first response was not me, because first and foremost, I said, I'm 25 years old, so I'm not considered to be worthy of being called an entrepreneur in this country. Those were not the days of startups, the young startups that we see today. Then I said, I have no money to my name. I have no business experience. And I've just been told that, the business world is not a place for women. So why would you want me to be your partner? It's crazy. I'll introduce you to somebody who actually can be that partner. In fact, I went on to introduce him to a very successful businessman in Delhi. And I said, this is the person you should be partnering with. See, he's so successful. He is in the right kind of business, and he's very interested to partner with you. He's got the money, he's got the business experience, and he's a very successful businessman. And this Irish person, this entrepreneur said to me, I don't know why you're deriding yourself so much, because what I'm looking for is a young, energetic entrepreneur. I'm not
Right.
looking at a mature, successful entrepreneur. So he actually kept talking to me and convinced me that I should give it a shot.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's how I started my business. So I often say I started my business because of a gender bias that the brewing industry had, and because of a person who convinced me that I should give it a shot.
And it was a man.
He was a man, yes.
And he was a non-Indian man, an Irish
Yes,
man.
yes.
Amazing.
He was Scottish actually, but an Irish entrepreneur, because his company is based in
That's
Ireland.
why you call yourself an accidental entrepreneur.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Because I never thought I would start a business. I often tell many young entrepreneurs, you know, anyone can start a business. It's about an idea. It's about shaping an idea and taking that idea to a commercial endpoint.
Yes. Yes, Saina. You've researched
Auntie,
more than entrepreneurship. Kiran, Saina has read you left, right, and center. Saina is an amazing, she's an amazing introvert. This is entirely her brainchild. Baatcheet is entirely her brainchild, brainwave. And she only picks up one icon who inspires her and researches the whole month on that person. She has read and seen your programs for a whole month. And she keeps feeding me. She keeps educating me after that and saying, Mom, this is something similar, and this is not similar for you. And you see, she gets very excited. So over to you, Saina.
oh, we love you, and I keep sending a WhatsApp to Auntie that I'm reading about you, and it's very inspiring. Auntie, I love everything about you.
Thank you.
Auntie, why aren't we going? Why aren't we going beyond the gender? Aren't we all unique? Why this man woman concept all the time?
So basically, Saina, look, we are in a society that is evolving, okay? And we have actually started with a society which was very steeped in a mindset which sort of compartmentalized what women should do and what men should do. And this has been in every society around the world, because a woman was never meant to be, or at least in their eyes, society's eyes, we were never meant to go and fend for the families. We were supposed to look after the families. We were caretakers, we were caregivers. And suddenly, in these last several decades, women have realized that they have a role which is much bigger. At least the opportunities should be given to women to pursue roles beyond the home. And I think that's where the whole narrative changes, and that's what we all have to understand, that this is about society understanding why women need to be given the choice and the opportunities to do more than what they wanted us to do. And so many of us, like your mother, like you, like myself, we now believe that we ought to be given those opportunities. We cannot be hemmed in, and we cannot be kind of confined to a space saying that this is the Lakshman Rekha beyond which you will not step out. So
Kiran, you have 6,000 scientists employed in your organization. I
that's
believe.
right.
What percentage of women, and how do you deal? How do you see them?
So, I'm very proud of that, Kiran, because I have basically started my business with a couple of objectives. There were some goals I had when I started my company. So, when I started, it was an enzymes company, and I said, hey, this is very exciting because it gives me the opportunity to do something about reducing the pollution from chemical industrial processes. I can replace them with very eco-friendly enzyme technologies, and therefore my whole mission at that time was, how do I green the world? How do I green the industrial world? And that was a great sense of purpose. But then some of my other driving missions was, look, I want this to be a very exciting place for women scientists to come and pursue careers. Because I realized that there were a large number of very qualified women scientists, but they were all sitting at home. And I said, this is not good. I think we cannot waste knowledge. We cannot waste talent. So I said, I want to encourage women to come and work with me. And let me share one thing to both of you, okay? With both of you. When I started my company, believe me, 60% of my scientists were women.
Wow.
But that's because I was small. Okay, that was a time when every woman who wanted to pursue science, she would look at me and say, "Hey, let's go and apply to." And there were hardly any companies doing research. And in my case, I was the first biotech company, and I was talking about it so much. And I had my first several for a long time. My R&D head, who was a man, I used to often call his scientists, look at Shri and his harem, because he had so many women scientists, and he was the only man for a long time. Then a few more men joined, and we had 60% women scientists. But then when we grew very large, so initially it was about having about 200, 300, 400, 500 people. Even at that stage, there were a lot of women scientists. But today we are 12,000 people. And the
Yes.
more our R&D expanded, today, as you just mentioned, 6,000 of them are scientists and engineers. I couldn't get that many women. So today,
Wow.
the number of 60% has dropped to 35% in one of the companies, 40% in another company. But that's still a very good percentage. Okay. So I would say on an average, it's about 35%. Roughly two little over 2,500 women scientists we have across our organization, which is great. But the reason why we are not able to get more women is because when you look for experienced people, unfortunately, it gets biased towards men. And there are a lot of young freshers coming out of colleges, but when you look for people with experience in industry, there are not enough. So you unnecessarily get skewed towards hiring men. So that
Right.
unfortunately is happening. And today I'm trying to change that, but it's a slow process. You need to get more women to come into the mainstream.
But your passion is
We all are unique.
yours. Yeah, go ahead.
Mommy, you say mommy.
Carry on.
We all are unique. We all are unique, and you both started so early, and you believed in yourself, and you evolve each day. Both of you, I see that. Mommy and you both evolve each day. Your vision has a lot of influence.
No, absolutely, Saina. I think all of us start somewhere and you start evolving because every day you learn something new, right? And once you learn something new, you want to do something very differently. And therefore, you evolve every day. In my case, I learned so much about science. COVID itself has taught me so much about immunology and how to deal with this virus. And I am much more confident than most people because I know how to deal with this disease. So I think we learn every day. We learn something new. So everything you take for granted suddenly gets disrupted, right? So I think running your own business like what I do, I think comes with its own set of challenges. But overcoming each of those challenges gives you strength and the courage to move on to something more daring, something more riskier. See, this
Yes.
whole business and the path of an entrepreneur is a risk-taking path because
That's
you
right.
don't know everything, right? And you have to learn new things. And then you have to make judgment calls. You have to start understanding, and experience, of course, allows you to make better and better judgment calls. That's why I say, that you might fail very often because some of the calls you make may not be the right calls. But you shouldn't worry because life is an evolutionary process. Life is all about making mistakes, learning from mistakes, and then doing many things very right, you know.
Uh, 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 Kiran, are more women, young women scientists joining more, or are they leaving early, or are they follow through? Do you see a change, or is it the same? How is it?
So what I'm seeing is it's a bit of everything, but what is very, very encouraging for me is in the biotech sector. I see a lot of women joining startups, a lot
Ah,
of women starting companies, which is very, very exciting for me. So of course I mentor a whole bunch of them. So many of them have come to me saying, look, we are trying to do this, what do you think? And I guide them. Sometimes they are not taking the right decisions, or that they are very, very disappointed or disillusioned because something didn't go right. And I have to encourage them saying, okay, try this avenue or try this path. So I think it's very important for women to realize that they are no different to men, because young male entrepreneurs have the same problems. It's just that what I keep telling women, men hide their diffidence. Women expose it. Okay. So even if a man is diffident, he doesn't want to show it. He wants to show he's very confident and he can do it. I said, what is wrong? Why can't we also do the same? I am that kind. I never show diffidence, even if I feel that it's tough. You do the same, Kiranji, because you are also a tough person who knows we can do it. So I think women do need to understand their strengths, and they must not be diffident. They should not be subjugated into. A lot of women don't speak up, right? Because they feel, why should I open my mouth? I'll just listen to it. We are very good listeners, I must say, but many of us who are strong, we also speak our minds. So I think women have that strength of listening, but they also need to speak up because that's a weakness.
but do they leave early? I understand they cut their. Do they cut
No,
in career?
many of them do leave jobs early because of maternity reasons or marital reasons, whatever it is. Some of them do, but in my case, in our company, I must say that most of the women come back after maternity leave, which is great. You know, and many of the women who actually leave because their spouses are transferred or something like that, very often they tell us, can we not still work with the company and I can work remotely? Now, this has become a reality because of COVID. But even in the past, I've given opportunities to women. If their jobs don't demand, physical attendance, then I've allowed them to do an remote working even in the past, even before COVID came. And I've given a lot of maternity leave to my lot of women employees, including some who wanted to adopt kids and take almost 1 year off to bring up those kids. I've encouraged all that because I think that's a problem women do face. And I think COVID has actually taught us that you can actually have a remote working model. And therefore, I've encouraged my HR to say, work out a nice work life balance for everyone and
Right.
give that extra work life remote working to women, because I still believe that women in our society need it much more than the men.
Yes, Sana, yours.
Mummy, you and Kiran auntie create opportunities for so many every day. Your work is very giving. It's very selfless. Talk about your,
Yeah.
Mummy, please share your thoughts.
So
Yes, Kiran,
maybe
you are
Kiranji,
not
you
only a
can go
scientist,
first.
but you're an amazing philanthropist too.
Yes.
took you from being a scientist and adding philanthropy?
I've always been philanthropic, Kiranji, because right from my very young days, I still remember as kids. Okay, I remember when we had the China War. Okay, and when we were so concerned about our Jawans and how they are fighting. As young children, we actually collected money and lots of donations. I remember 5 or 6 of us were a group of young people. Our parents used to instill a lot of those caring and philanthropic values in us, saying, look, you are so privileged. Don't you realize a lot of people are not like you? Go and help them. And we would go around. I remember collecting. We used to go to all the shops in Bangalore saying, please donate to the Jawans, please donate to the Jawans. And as kids, we collected so much, I remember. Then we put up a small concert of our own and we got all the neighborhood to buy tickets. So I remember, I mean, those days, 1960, 63 or 62, or when, no, in the 60s it was, right? The China War, 61, 62. And at that time, I remember we collected all of 150 rupees. Of course, it was all the families giving money for this concert. And plus all the blankets and the soup cans and the baked beans tins and lots of things we had collected, pillows. I remember we collected lot of things and we gave a huge hamper for the Jawans. So you see, right from our early days, we've been taught to think about others. Think,
Yes.
make sure that you're sensitive to the needs of others. Don't just think about yourself. And my father was the one who actually brought in a huge philanthropic ethos in me. I still remember, I must share this story with you. I was desperate to get into medical college, and I didn't get into the two medical colleges that I'd applied to in Bangalore. Okay. So then I told my father, I said, oh, by the way, Davangere Medical College, if you give them 10,000 rupees capitation, they're giving a seat. I told my father. So why don't you pay that capitation fee and I'll go to Davangere Medical College? He was horrified. He looked at me and he said, what? Do you think I'll ever pay for a seat? So I said, no, it's, please understand it's being done all the time. I know lots of people who have got into these colleges. It's a fee. So he said, no. He said, you're buying a seat. And he said, always remember, Kiran, money is not to be used to buy favors. It is to be used to make a difference. Never forget that. I was so upset. I started crying. I said, I bet you if it was for my brother Ravi, you would have done it. Just because I'm a girl, you're not doing it. I even fought with my dad. And my father said, I'm sorry. I will not do it for any of my children. You want to get in any college or you bloody earn your stripes there. You go and make sure you earn your seat. Don't ask me to pay for anything. It is because of my father that I will never ever corrupt anybody to buy favors. That's what I believe in very strongly. So I still remember when I was starting Biocon, I went to this very nice gentleman in the government who was helping me to get this approval. Those days it was in 1978, it was the license Raj. So to start a company, that too with a foreign investment, I had to get lots of permission. So I went to Mr. Bishwas, who was the head of the what did they call it, the industries department those days, and he had to help me get the permission. So while I was waiting in the corridors in Udyog Bhavan, I remember all these touts used to come to me and say, "Arey, hum kaam karwa denge, itna lagega, utna lagega." I was getting so scared. I had hardly 10,000 rupees in my bank, and all these guys were telling me how much it would cost to get the approval. So I very innocently went in and I told Mr. Bishwas, Mr. Bishwas, I am getting cold feet about starting this company because all these guys outside are telling me it's going to cost. I said, it's going to cost money. I said, I never thought I had to bribe anybody, but you better advise me. How much is one required to bribe? Who am I supposed to bribe? And when am I supposed to bribe? Because if it's too much, I better not even think about starting this company because I really believe in bribing. So he was horrified. He said, no, please don't listen to anybody. You don't have to bribe anybody. You don't pay any money to anybody and you'll get your approval.
Very nice.
so sort of relieved to hear that. And believe me, that is why I've always believed in the government. It is up to you. If you want to corrupt, you corrupt people. But if you don't want to, you will actually see and you'll feel much better about succeeding in that way. Yes, many people tell me if you don't pay speed money, you'll be slower. I'm in no hurry.
Wonderful. Yes, Anna.
Auntie, your mummy used to go with you for all these meetings.
Yeah, my mother was amazing. So, in Delhi, I had to, go to all these offices and this and that. And my mother used to drive me all around. She would say, "Come, come, I'll take you here, I'll take you there." She would drive. She would be my driver, and she would me sit in outside in the corridors while I went and had my meetings. The moment I would come out, she'll say, "Come, let's go." Then we would go and maybe have a sort of chole chana somewhere, or go and have an ice cream somewhere and go home. So those were the days.
You see, you are a project, fully a project for your mother and your father, and your whole exposition
And my brothers,
so many
yes.
messages to parents. You are giving messages to parents, to young scientists, to young women, to your entrepreneurs. Your whole story is so many messages to so many people today, because you're so much in one, Kiran. Yes, Aina.
I think it's very important, don't you think, to be a very holistic person. It's not about focusing on one narrow aspect of one's personality. I think
Yeah.
one has to be a much larger, multifaceted person to make a difference.
That's
So
right.
that's why I'm so interested in helping young startups. I'm very interested in policy, transformation or reforms. I'm very interested in better governance. So I also have founded, along with another group of people like Mohandas Pai and Mr. Jairaj, we formed something called BPAC, which is really about getting better civic sense and civic governance. And I think
I
that's
attended
another
one of your
very
meetings.
important thing we're doing.
I recall you invited me all the way to attend one of your meetings,
Yes,
where you
yes.
were working to improve the areas of governance, local governance and administration in Bangalore, now called Bangalore.
Yes,
Bangalore.
and it's
Bangalore.
doing very well. We have something called the BPAC Civic Leadership Incubation Program. And let
Right.
me tell you, to date, we have created over 300 civic leaders by
Wow.
making them understand what the Constitution is, what are the
Very
constitutional rights, what are the kind of issues and policy changes that we want. So much is happening, and all these young people, and we are telling them now, pick your own ward and make a difference, and they're doing
yes.
so much. So
Very
we
nice.
had a huge thing against flex banners. Okay, in Bangalore, it was really
Right.
polluting the whole city. Everywhere
Right.
you go, there are these ugly cutouts of politicians or big flex banners of all kinds of political messaging. We
Mm.
actually fought so hard, and today you don't have any flex banners in Bangalore. We moved
Mm.
the court, we moved the municipal commission, and finally they brought down everything.
Kiran, you're a billionaire. What does billionaire mean to you? I'm sure Saina has this on her mind. Am I right, Saina?
Now that's over to you, mommy. That question.
You're a
Yeah, so
billionaire, Kiran. You're a rare woman. The top 5 powerful women. You are world's top 25 powerful women, 5 in India, and amongst the 25 powerful women in India. My God, what does it mean to you? The wealth, the fame, the position. You got Padam Shri, you got Padma Bhushan. I think that's the ultimate for any Indian woman scientist in India today. What more? What does it make this? How do you feel about it?
So, the way I look at it is, yes, these are amazing recognitions, and I accept them very, very humbly, because I think this is about being recognized by a much broader base of people who are actually appreciating what you're doing. To me, these recognitions are about really doing something which is making societal impact. That's the way I look at it. I've become a social influencer because of all these titles and recognitions, and I'm very proud of the fact that when I started with 10,000 rupees, And today I've built a company that has got a $7 billion market cap and a collective market cap of all the companies I've created of over $10 billion. That's about value creation, right? It showed that all you need is application of knowledge, application of technology, and look what you can create. That's what it has taught me. Because when we went to the market in 2004, I had no idea what this business was going to be worth. And we were $1 billion company on day one of our listing. And I said, wow, that was a eureka moment for me. Because I said, is this the value we've created? We were just taking all this for granted, saying we are good scientists, we are developing good technologies, we are doing a good business. And suddenly, wow, hey presto, it's $1 billion business. So I said, wow, this is amazing. And so what I want people to know is this is the kind of value you can create by applying your knowledge, developing something very important that society needs. And so for me, it's not about the money. It's about the value creation metrics that we are looking and judging ourselves by.
Kiran,
And
you
then
said in one of your interview, Kiran, you said in one of your interviewer just saw Bada Business. It's called badabusiness.com. Beautiful interview you done on that. And you said, मैं ऐसी दवाई बनाऊं जो कम से कम 100 करोड़ लोगों खरीद सकें. मैं ऐसी दवाई बनाऊं जो 100 करोड़ लोग खरीद सकें. और ये हुआ. ये
Yes.
हुआ. बताओ.
Yes.
How did you make
So,
it? And
insulin.
how is your reach? What's your reach? I know Saina has something up her sleeve to show the cancer hospital, right? Am I right, Saina?
That's coming later.
Okay.
Auntie calls it a blockbuster medicine.
No, what I meant was that, all the pharmaceutical industries the world over are only proud of $1 billion blockbuster drugs. I said, is a blockbuster drug to be measured by the $1 billion or the billion people that it serves? That was my main message I was giving to the world, saying, why are you so fixated on the money? Why can't you be more fixated on the patients that it has to serve? I said, we are a humanitarian industry. You serve 1 billion patients, you'll get billions of dollars. But why are you so, seized by that whole notion that, oh, this is $1 billion blockbuster drug? And, most big pharma make it $1 billion blockbuster drug by just charging a high price.
But tell us about insulin. Tell us about cancer and insulin.
Yeah.
Kiran, tell us about insulin.
I will. So for me, it's about creating affordable access to essential medicines.
India,
and
tell us
medicine
about
is insulin. Yeah.
Tell us about insulin. It's a common man's drug today, and India is almost, we are affected by diabetes hugely, and COVID morbidity primarily is becoming those who are heavily diabetic. You've done a lot in this field because this is a common man's program. Tell them about diabetes and your production of insulin.
So my journey of getting into biopharmaceuticals started with insulin. And the reason is because I looked at what was happening in India. In India, we were the epicenter of diabetes. We were the world's diabetes capital. Okay. At that stage, we had about 40 million diabetics. And today, of course, it's jumped to almost 70 million diabetics. But the point is that I found that the people who needed insulin, because insulin is a life-saving medication for people who have severe diabetes. And these patients were not able to afford, in the early part of the of this millennium, recombinant human insulin, which is a biotech version of insulin which mimics human insulin exactly. Okay? Most of our patients in India who needed insulin were using animal insulin, either bovine or porcine insulin in those days. Very few people could afford recombinant human insulin because it was very expensive. And I said, this is absolutely not on. I cannot allow this to happen. As a biotech company, if I can develop a low-cost insulin, why not? Why don't I do that? So that is what started me on to this insulin journey. Today, I'm really happy to say that we are the lowest cost producers of insulin in the world. And today, our insulins are sold in over 100 countries. Okay. And our insulin glargine, which is a basal insulin analog, has been approved in the US and Europe. And I'm also getting other insulin analogs approved in all these global countries. In India, of course, we made a huge difference because ever since we introduced the insulin in 2004, the cost of insulin has come down to 1/10 of what it was. Okay. And
That's right.
below that as well. But what is very important is that even I find that in the developing world, they still have this challenge. And so I have made a pledge last year at the UN Assembly, General Assembly, that Biocon will provide insulin at 10 cents a day for any low middle income country that needs it. So I think we're playing a huge role in this whole insulin and diabetes area. And the reason why we're successful is because we have this very noble mission of making
Yes.
a difference. It will serve 1 billion patients around who
Yes.
need this drug. It is a life-saving drug. And I think that then moves into cancer, which is another very challenging area, Saina, because cancer is another area where people can't afford cancer therapy. So there, Saina, I'm sure you want to ask me this question, and I will wait for your question.
Auntie, in fact, there are two aspects. We requested Dr. Shetty, Dr. Devi Shetty, to come on the line with us. And yes, and we've requested your mummy ji, to be a part. We were supposed to be doing Heart Space first, but we told him we'll get in touch with him around 1:45. So we're going to call
Okay.
Dr. Devi Shetty first,
Okay.
talk to him about the healthcare, and then
Sure.
request Mummy ji to come in, because we
Sure.
told him this time.
Sure.
Isha says Dr. Shetty's not yet joined. That's what
He's not
Isha
joined?
said.
Can we please request Mummy ji to come?
Sure.
No
Mummy
pillars
come.
of strength. Yes.
Let's have Mummy with us. Yeah.
Derives her strength from her family and from their instinctive, innate business sense. This comes from both her mother and her father.
Lovely. Lovely.
Kiran Auntie's mama is coming.
That's right.
Oh.
Namaste.
Namaste,
Pranam,
Mummy ji.
Namaste.
Namaste, Mummy ji.
Pranam, mother.
Yes.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Country owes so much to you.
Knew your mother for a
Given
long time.
humanity.
Because
A
I was
My
diamond.
mother is a big fan of Kiranji.
That's because of you, Kiran.
10 years in Delhi.
She was for 10 years in Delhi, and she used to always tell me, we have this amazing policewoman. You have to meet her. You have to listen to what she's saying. You have to read about her.
Kiran, your mummy is gifted humanity for a diamond forever. Forever. We want to thank such mothers, rare
She
mothers.
herself is an entrepreneur, by the way.
Sorry?
She herself is an entrepreneur.
Oh, no wonder you got the entrepreneurship in your genes, in your DNA. Okay, Saina, over to you. I know you have interesting questions.
No, Mummy ji, aap batao. You tell us about Kiran Auntie. Her being
Kya
a
bole?
aap batao. You tell us about Kiran Auntie. You say whatever you wish to about
What,
Kiran Auntie.
what can I say about her? She can speak for herself.
To tell us about her. Who was she? How was she? Why is she like the way she is?
Strong-willed person, and she was hardworking, even in school. And I think there's nothing much to say about. I mean, you know everything about her.
No, not as much. We know very little. Please tell us more. How can there be more Kirans like her? How can we have more Kiran Mazumdars? How can we have more Kiran Mazumdars? Sorry.
Well, she has studied well, she has worked well, and she has, you know, uh, put her education to good, good use, I would say. So it speaks for itself. I mean,
Did
what
you
she has
see
done is what
that?
she has done is with her brain. So
No, but I would say that, I think parental support is very important. I think if you have family support and parental support and parents who believe that you can do things, I think that will make a big difference to our society. See, today I think any family that thinks it's that who have daughters who believe that their daughters can do great things and that there's no difference between their sons and daughters, then I think you'll see a change in society. And I think that's when I think women will get their due place in society.
Ask her to tell us how did she feel as a mother to a daughter? What was her belief?
always proud, always hardworking, and I mean, I've seen her grow through all the phases, and through bad phases, and through good phases, and she's looked after herself very well, and me also.
How did you look after her so well? What is it that you look after
I
her?
mean, she was a good student. She was a very good student, and I used to keep her company while she was doing her homework. I would just sit by side and maybe do some knitting or something, but keep awake till she was, working. And she's grew up. I mean, she has done so well in at every stage, in during the school, during the college, and during her stay abroad. She's looked after herself, and it's made me proud. It's made me very proud. And my husband was also very,
Yes.
very proud of her.
Were you ever worried about her future at any stage?
No, I think
Let me share one little funny event, okay, anecdote. So my mother and father obviously felt that I could, lead my own life. They need not have to help me with anything about getting married and things like that. So they didn't bother. But my mother was very influenced by her relatives saying, why can't you get your daughter married? Well, look at Kiran. Now she's already 21, 22, 23, and she's still not married. So my mother, I think, started getting a little worried, saying maybe, I should do it. So she was very scared to ask me, I must tell you that. So sometimes she said, do you think you will be okay for an arranged marriage? I said, of course not. What nonsense. So then she got very worried. So once I think she said, at least do me a favor, at least see one boy, because my entire family is pressurizing me. At least see this boy, even if you say no, that's okay, but I would have done my job. So they introduced me to some boy who was recommended from the family. And of course, I gave that guy such a tough time that he, I think, just decided I was not the person for him. So then my mother said, look, then she told her family, she said, listen, I tried and see it hasn't worked. Now, please leave me alone. And my mother said, I'm so relieved that I've done this. Now nobody will, pressurize me anymore.
Do you remember this? Mother, do you remember?
Of course.
So you had belief in Kiran that she is capable of taking her own decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I always knew that she could. I mean, otherwise, how could she go abroad and with your injured back and everything? Remember, she had a fall and then she was going to Australia. So worried, but she fed for herself at any time.
Did you specially groom her, specially train her, or it was a part of home
I
environment?
think she was, too strong-headed to have that. I never groomed her.
No, I think I think parents need to give a freedom to their kids.
Home environment. Was it a home environment?
Yes, yes.
You were in alignment with your husband's or your father's, your Kiran? Your mother
Always,
was in
always.
alignment with father's thinking?
Yeah.
Bilkul.
They were both very, very supportive of all their children. I mean, all they did was they gave us the opportunity. They gave us, of course, they teach us all the time very good values. You know, we were close-knit as a family. So I think that
What's your
helped.
mummy's message to the mothers of the country? What's your mummy's message to the mothers of the country? Mothers of daughters, mothers of sons.
You support your children and let them be and let them prove themselves. Because I think when all you have to do is give them education, and then your duty is over. Then it's up to them how to use their education. Because you just lead, as you say, you lead the horse to the water, but then whether he drinks or not, it's their problem, right? So you give them the education. Once you give them education, your duty is over.
You brought up boys and Kiran. Did you see any
Yeah.
difference between Kiran growing up and your sons growing up? Did you see a difference between that girl and the boy growing up? Did you
At
see
least
that
I
difference?
did not make any difference. I did not make any difference whether it was a boy or a girl. But I mean,
But
they
did
have-
you see her growing up differently?
no, not at all. I mean, everybody had the same freedom, and they did what they like. All we did was just education, and that was it.
What
And they-
made you love education? You were an entrepreneur, mother. You were yourself an educated entrepreneur.
I'm sorry to say, I am not that. I didn't have a degree. I didn't finish my BSc. I got married, and as far as the entrepreneurship is goes, I started very late in life. After my husband passed away, I started working. Kiran says, I don't want you to sit in a corner and sit and cry. People will not have any more, this thing for you, pity for you. And you don't want that also. So you do something, I'll support you. But then she just showed me what to do. And then I took over, I make game for one company.
By the way, she runs a dry cleaning and laundry service. She hires 40 people in her company. And she was so proud that during COVID, she did not let go of anyone. In fact, she gave them a COVID allowance because she said, poor things, they have nowhere to go. So don't worry. Even if you don't come to work, here's money. I'm not going to cut your salary. And she's doing so well.
Well,
See, you
That's
got
extremely
And
impressive.
even now, during COVID, I've kept her in my house. She lives on her own otherwise. But during COVID, I said, no, please come and stay with me because I'm very worried. And she started bargaining with me after some time, saying, listen, I've tested negative. Now I'm going to wear a mask. I'll wear gloves. I'll be very careful, but I need to go to work at least twice a week. So that's the bargaining she has done with me. And she does go and spend 2 days a week with her people at work. But, she's very, very engaged and committed. She's almost 90 years of age. But she is so committed to her work. She's so engaged. She's interested in cricket. She's interested in news. She'll always give me breaking news. She'll always watch all the channels. She watches, of course, everything that we would all be interested in. So her mind is very young.
So independent. Auntie, a few words about all. Ji, Auntie. Ji, Mummy ji.
yours, bitte.
Auntie, a few words about your pillars of strength, your life companion, your brothers.
my pillar of strength is Kiran. Because she encouraged me to start a business. And so that, so otherwise I would have possibly been just sitting at home and doing nothing. But she says, no, you do something, whatever you like. So I started this thing and then started
So
a
good.
business.
Good.
And
I think you might want to bring Dr. Shetty in, no?
Dr. Shetty's just driving down still, not made it
Ah,
yet.
Auntie, I have a few questions or some instant answers. Mummy ji
Sure.
can be a part of that.
Yeah.
Let her
Yes.
be. Allow her to be a part of
Yes,
it. It's
yes,
great.
please.
The world sees the
Mummy ji,
mother.
it's very
And not
nice to see.
yeah, go ahead.
And please don't call Mummy G, huh?
Auntie, but
No, all my
everybody
staff
calls
calls me
you
Mummy.
Mummy ji.
Her whole
Call you
staff was her mummy.
mommy.
So we call you Mummy. Okay.
Okay, mommy.
They call you Mummy, we'll call you Mummy. Auntie, what does Bangalore mean to you? What comes to your mind when you think of Bangalore?
I came here as a bride.
And for
Oh,
I'm a born Bangalorean. I was born in Bangalore, so obviously I'm always very proud of my birthplace. And for me,
yes.
Bangalore is a city that was so beautiful for a long, long time. We've all spoilt it over the last couple of decades. And I'm really hoping we can get back some of that old beauty of Bangalore. So I'm very involved, for instance, in a philanthropic way by rescuing all the lakes that we have destroyed. And I'm also very interested to see that we clean up the city. You know, the city is like become like one big construction site, and we need to do something about it. So I've been working tirelessly with the government saying, come on, let's get our act together. We can't allow it to be messed up so badly. So I think all of us are onto this kind of an agenda. A few people are obviously very, very concerned about this, but not enough people, if you know what I mean.
Yes, but you at it, Auntie. You at it.
I really came here as a garden of city. That was Bangalore.
Mm.
It was really beautiful. 1949. So
Came as a bride, I hear you saying. Yes, so beautiful.
another age that was.
Yes. Auntie, you talk about so often you say foolish courage. What
Pardon?
is that? You often
No,
say
I
foolish
always
courage.
tell people that look, when you're young and when you want to, do things, uh, you do it because you have a sense of conviction that you want to do something. Now, that is in a way called foolish courage because you really don't know how tough that ask is, right? And when you do achieve that, in hindsight, you say, "Oh my God, did I really take that risk?" And it worked. My That was foolish courage, because if you had to really look at it in a very formal way, in a way that most business school people would look at it, they would sort of dissect and bisect all the risk factors and this and that, and they'll say maybe that's not a good thing to do. But here you did it without that kind of analysis and it worked. So that's why I call it foolish courage. And I think entrepreneurship is about foolish courage, because you take risks. Everything is so unknown, right? Dr. Devi Shetty is another risk taker because he started his whole cardiac hospital at a time when he really didn't know how big an opportunity that was, right? He just believed in something, he invested in it, and then it became a big success. And today he's the icon of cardiac health, right? So I think all of us who believed in something, I believed so much in biotech at a time when nobody was willing to touch biotechnology and they didn't even know what is biotechnology. In fact, I always tell people I had huge credibility hurdles, and I think Kiranji will agree with me that a woman's journey in any professional world is about establishing credibility. You just saw, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who just passed away. And she also talks about that it was about building credibility. Look at the gender bias she had in the legal world in the US, none other than the US. So all of us, basically, it's our journeys and our successes are about establishing credibility. So when your
But
mother got into the police force, the credibility was, oh, can she be a policewoman? Can she be tough? Can she do her job? That's the credibility hurdle you have to overcome. Similarly, in business, I had that same credibility hurdle. Oh, she's a young girl. Does she know how to run a business? Oh my God, she doesn't even have money. And she's starting a business called biotech, which is nobody has started. Now, if a man has not started that business, do you think she will succeed as this young chut of a girl? So, what I'm saying is you have to build your credibility. And as you build your credibility, which happens with every success, people start saying, oh, well, you busted that myth. I was told women are not risk takers, women are not ambitious, women are not tough enough, women are not aggressive enough. I busted all those myths, right? So we have these stereotypes that we create about women and gender, which are wrong. Okay, and we as women need to bust those myths, and we as women need to establish credibility, because this world is about credibility. If you are credible, you're taken seriously. If you're not credible, there will be a lot of naysayers, even if you're capable.
Both have proved all of them wrong. All of them. All of them.
You and Dr. Shetty
I think-
created a wonderful cancer hospital, isn't it? Steiner,
Yes.
you wanted to ask about this cancer hospital of Dr. Shetty and Kiran.
Mama, we're waiting for Dr. Shetty to join us, if possible,
Let
today.
me tell you something
We're
about
running out of time now because so therefore let's bring
Yes,
about the. We need to know about this
Tell
cancer
you about how that started. So
Yes.
basically, when I wanted to start my philanthropic journey in a big way, I basically went to Devi Shetty, whom I knew quite well, and I told Devi Shetty, I said, you've done such a marvelous job of cardiac care and cardiac health and affordable cardiac care. Why can't you do something like this in cancer care? Because cancer also needs affordable care. And he said, look, if you build a hospital for me, I'll try and do something about it. So I said, I would gladly do that. So my first philanthropic gesture was, let's build a cancer hospital. So initially it was supposed to be 100-bedded cancer hospital. I said, 100-bedded cancer hospital is not going to create that affordability that we are thinking about, because you yourself have told me about the need for building scale for affordability. So let's build a 1,000-bedded hospital. So he said, yeah, why not? I mean, if you're going to do that, do it by all means. And that's what we did. So I created the Mazumdar-Shaw Medical Center as a 1,000-bedded hospital. And then the rest, I said, look, I'm not going to manage it. That's for you to manage. That's for you to, basically develop as an afford. And today it's a very, very successful center. And I'm very proud of what Dr. Shetty has done in, making a huge difference in specialty care and, of course, in cancer care. We, in fact, have one of the largest bone marrow transplant units in the country. And it's about people. And what Dr. Shetty does very well is really bringing in the most committed doctors and healthcare workers who work in those hospitals to make such a big difference. I've seen it many hospitals, but I see the big difference between our hospital and the others. The whole attitude, the whole ethos is so different. It is about humanity and healthcare and caring for the sick.
You brought the cost of the dose, I believe, from 2 lakh per dose to only 20,000 per dose. Am I right, Kiran?
Yeah.
Thanks to you.
Breast cancer, yes.
It made it affordable. You and Devi Shetty. Wonderful. Devi Shetty is another icon in public health. Yes, Aina.
Absolutely.
A very warm human being. I spoke to him 2 days back. He was so warm and cordial and he was actually very eager to join us, Auntie. Auntie, Arogya Raksha Yojana is another program that you're running so beautifully. A few words on that, Auntie.
So this was before Ayushman Bharat came into being. This was a long time ago when, we realized that most people did not have access to hospital treatment free of cost. And we said, this is very, very unfortunate. So what Dr. Devi Shetty did was he started another program called Yashaswini. And there he convinced the farmer cooperative saying, you just pay 3 rupees a month. And I will get the government also to pay a certain amount. So it will become 10 rupees a month. And for that price, we will actually give you free cardiac treatment if you need it. And that became very, very successful. Based on that model, we decided let's do it beyond cardiac care. So we did something called Arogya Raksha. And for, again, a very small amount, I think what we said there was that it'll be a little more than, this 10 rupees that Dr. Devi Shetty created as a model. We said, you give us, 100 rupees a year. So we said, you give us 100 rupees a year, and we will actually give you free hospital care for any disease. And so that worked very, very well for quite a while, until the government started coming up with their own insurance schemes, and then you had Ayushman Bharat coming in. So now, of course, that acceptance of the insurance model at scale is now a reality, and I'm glad we were the catalysts of this thinking.
And I'm moving to something so different. Auntie, you love art, but nobody can sell you a painting. You're so you have a different eye for art. You love art.
Yeah, I've always been very fond of painting. My mother will tell you that she again was the responsible for making me go to painting classes, and I was very interested in
10-year-old.
I was a 10-year-old when I went and started painting. So I was very interested in art. So I've always had an interest in art. And, when I started, obviously, running my own business, and I started looking at art differently. Of course, I used to always go to museums and look at art and things. But then there was a friend of mine who actually introduced me to the world of contemporary art and meeting artists and knowing how they're painting. So one of my good friends was the late Yusuf Arakal. He was a very well-known artist. So he used to be in Bangalore, and he was an upcoming artist. And I met Hussain Saab, who was another very dear friend of mine. So between the two of them, I really learned a lot about art. And, Hussain Saab, of course, I could never afford Hussain Saab's art, but he would be so cute. He would come and talk to me about art. He would paint something or sketch something for me and give it to me, saying, and I've still preserved all his drawings that he has given me. And later on, of course, I could afford Hussain Saab's art, so I did buy some of his art, when he was alive. But Yusuf was another artist whom I really used to spend a lot of time with to understand art. So I started appreciating what art was all about. What is the creativity of art, and how do you relate to art? So and my husband also has a great eye for art. So that was something that brought us together. In fact, I started building a very close relationship with my husband because of our love for art. So I introduced him to Indian art, and he introduced me to Western art, especially Scottish artists. And together we have, of course, got a beautiful collection of art, which is our own personal choice and our taste. It may not, everyone has a different taste in art. I'm also involved with the Museum of Art and Photography. I donated some, funding to them because they are starting a big museum in Bangalore. So I'm very involved in art in a big way, because I really think it's very important to blend art and science. It's about at the end of the day.
I'm so glad you spoke about sir, and Mummy met my daddy at the tennis court. Mummy met my daddy at the tennis court. Mummy, tell us.
Well, that's sports and academics. This is art and business. Mine was sports and academics.
Great.
We walked hand in hand, and we walk hand in hand. So much of love. So much of
Absolutely.
love. Yes, our journeys are incomplete without them. So blessed.
Absolutely.
Auntie, yes. Auntie, you're a great friend. What is friendship? You're a very, very.
Yes, to me, friendships are very important because many of my friends. I mean, you make friends throughout your life. And at each part of your life, your friends mean something to you, and they have a special place in your heart because of what they meant to you at that time. And you should never forget that. As you grow through your life, you make friends who are with whom you have a different relationship. So right from when I was a young child to my school days, to my college days, to my business days and beyond, I think I made different types of friends, and each one of those friends I made meant something very special to me. And I never ever forget my friends. I'm always very loyal to my friends. And I know that many of my friends sometimes don't have the the right kind of maybe social perception. They get into trouble. They do something which is not accepted. But I always think of them as my friends, and I talk to them. They Some of them have done some things wrong, but they are very remorseful of that, and that I always forgive them for. I mean, my friend Vijay Malya is one of them. I've grown up with him as a child. He has done things wrong. He is sorry for many things he has done wrong. So I'm willing to forgive him for when he's sorry about that. And I understand that he has done a lot of wrong things, but will I just give him up as a friend? No. That's the kind of friendship I'm talking about. That I have, Devi Shetty is a dear friend. He's at a different time of my life, but he and I have a very, very good understanding. He's a very good friend. I have a set of friends whom I relate to in a very good, very, very deep way, because we've become such good friends now, because we have similar interests. We are concerned with the similar problems. I have young friends. Rohan Murthy, that is Mr. Narayan Murthy's son. That is Sudha Narayan Murthy's son. Sudha is a very dear friend of mine. Rohan is my godson. Okay, I have many younger, sons of friends who call me their godmother, and I have a very different relationship with them. Mr. Premji, Azim Premji is a very dear friend of mine.
Well said.
Nilekani is a very dear friend of mine. Rohit is a very dear friend of mine. Now, we all have different kinds of friendships. And with each one of them, I have a different sort of, but we're all very close friends. Let's put it this way. If any one of us is in trouble or we need help, we're there for each other. I think that's what friendship is.
You stand by each other. You stand by each other through thick and thin. Auntie, a surprise video for you now before we conclude the show. A little surprise video for you. Mummy, aap bhi dekhiye, there's a surprise.
I've been lucky enough to be surrounded by incredible women and role models my entire life. Starting with my grandmother, Kiran's mother, who is the original entrepreneur of the family, who started her own business at the tender age of 70 after raising 3 children, and still stubbornly goes into the office every day, despite COVID, and as she approaches her 90th birthday. Then there's my mother, who has spent her entire career in the heavily dominated field of electrical engineering to become a noted professor in her own right, and who taught me that I could achieve anything I put my mind to. But it is Kiran who's been my guiding light in my career and ambitions. She has instilled in me a sense of responsibility to have a profound impact in the field of healthcare and biotech, and do so with the patient in mind. Kiran and I have always been close. We look so much alike, people often mistake me as her daughter and not as her niece, and I've spent some of my favorite vacations exploring the world with Kiran by my side. But I think that as I've entered the world of biotech and set out my own path for my entrepreneurial journey, we have gotten even closer. Our mutual respect and trust has grown, and now that I'm in a leadership role myself, I'm constantly in awe of what she's been able to achieve during a time when I think it was exceedingly difficult to build a global-minded company as a woman, and even more specifically as a woman from India. She has built a successful company driven by the values of doing right by the patient, by providing innovative, life-saving medicines in an affordable manner. And I've never been more proud to be her niece. KB, I love you very, very much, and I'll learn not to be too offended when you call me just to FaceTime Henry and not to speak with me.
Sweet, indeed. Indeed.
My niece is someone I am so, so proud of. You have no idea. She is just an amazing woman herself. And what she said is brought tears to my eyes because I am so proud of her.
We wanted to conclude it with something very special.
She said it all because we are a family where we are proud of our women. And let me also tell you that her younger brother Eric He's an amazing young man. He wrote a beautiful essay when he got into MIT. Okay, he's now he's just finished his PhD at Berkeley in artificial intelligence. Brilliant young man. Okay, I'm so proud of him as well. But that's Claire's brother. And Eric, you know what is the essay he wrote when he got into MIT?
Gee.
My heroes are women.
Yeah.
And he wrote about his grandmother, his mother, his sister, and me, his aunt. So that whole essay was about why women are so important. And he wrote the most beautiful, thoughtful essay, which I've preserved even today.
So blessed. So blessed.
Thank you.
Auntie,
All the
thank
best.
you. Mummy, thank you. And Auntie, it's been an honor and a privilege having you with us.
Thank you.
I'm very, very happy to see you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for a lovely Baatcheet. And all success to you, Saina.
Thank you.
And Kiran, you have to be very proud of your daughter.
I am very proud of her. This is her thinking, her creativity. I'm supporting her as a
Thank
mother.
you.
Auntie,
So great to see you both.
Lovely show. Thank you.
Thank you
it's
so much.
Auntie,
Lovely chatting. Lovely
it's
learning.
For
Thank
me,
you.
I feel blessed, and it's all my Dharima's kripa and my mummy's blessings that I'm here today. And thank you for your love. And mummy, thank you for coming and being there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting
you.
me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kiran, for your
Bye.
very precious time.
Bye.
Auntie, we have a little e-memento for you. Acha, we'll send it to them. This is for Kiran, Auntie.